lemonade, toilet blocks, and sports. In today's episode of the vlog, we're talking about some of the things that British people find weird that Americans do. That's coming right up after this. Hello everybody, how are you doing, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Shaun and I'm a YouTuber from Edinburgh in Scotland. Right here on my channel, I talk about the cultural exchange themes that I have been kind of exploring over the last while between Scotland, the UK in general, and the United States of America, because there's some really deep connections. A lot of people in America want to know about the UK, about Scotland in particular, through their heritage, through their ancestry, and I think that's amazing, something I'm going to be continue to explore on this channel for a very long time to come. And I've only just scratched the surface, but I think to get there, to get to the kind of bigger pieces that I'm going to do, there's a lot of little stuff in between, the nitty-gritty that we have to get hold of and explore and discover. So that's what's happening on this channel today. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, listen, if you're new, please don't forget to hit the red subscribe button down in the bottom corner, and then you will be part of the family from here on in. I'll be very sad if you don't do it. Have you done it? Awesome to have you on board. Thank you so much for joining the club. Right, things Americans do that British people think are a little bit weird. And I'm talking about Britain today because actually here in Scotland we have a very unique culture and identity, but really there's a lot of things that we have in similarities with the rest of the islands of Great Britain. England, there's a lot of similarities between the ways we deal with things and think and just design our infrastructure. So I think it's quite fair to say that a lot of things I'm talking about apply to the whole UK in respect to these American things I'm going to talk about, all right? I'm also in today's episode going to be opening a couple of letters that I received from the United States. People have very kindly been sending me packages and all sorts. There's a link down below to the address if you want to send anything. And also guys, listen, I just launched on Sunday a brand new series exploring the NC 500, the North Coast 500, one of the most epic road trips in all of Scotland and maybe even all of Europe. Lots of people are clambering to get to this road trip, right? And I just did it in a Tesla. Make sure you watch that video, but also I'm launching a series of signed postcards. I have taken the photos for the postcards, I'm going to sign them, and I'm going to send them out to viewers on my Patreon account, all right? So if you haven't signed up to my Patreon and you want more information about it, there's a link down below that explains everything, all right? So let's do this. The 8 things Americans do, that people in the UK and Britain find a little bit odd. Not necessarily bad, right? Not at all. And you might have saw the headline of this video and think, here's another idiotic, self-righteous British arse who is just going to be making fun of us. But not so. This is not going to be a tea spilling exercise. Because let me tell you, a lot of things in the list, I actually prefer the way Americans do things. Definitely, from my experiences. If you've not been watching my channel for a long time, you might not know this, but I went on a tour with the United States Embassy to the UK of America. They took us to various different states to kind of explore American culture so that we could report back on that trip. It was so amazing, life-changing, and made me fall in love with the United States. So that is another reason why I've been going into some of these things, some of the things we learned on that trip. Let's get into them, right? And number 1 is actually something I probably agree with on the British side. This is one thing I found very weird in every single place I went to in America. Really odd, okay? I don't know what you guys in America will think of this. I want to know your thoughts, okay? But listen, when you go to public toilets in America, basically there is zero privacy, right? Because in between the door stalls, where the lock is, for example, the gap is about that big. You can look and wave at everybody as they're walking past the bathroom stalls as you're in there, you know, doing your thing, right? And I must admit, that was one of the oddest things when going to the public bathrooms. Because if you come to the bathrooms here in the UK, in Scotland, the public bathrooms, you get a lot more privacy. Sometimes the doors are even sealed off in total, so you're in your own private cubicle room. But in America, it was like that much ground clearance, loads at the top as well, and you're just in a big open forum, you know, when you want to be in a private place. What do you guys think about that? Is that something you even noticed as Americans or care about? When you came here, did you notice our bathrooms are slightly more private? Drop your comments down below, please. Number 2, and this is something that I absolutely 100% agree with you guys in America, okay? Ice in your drinks, and generally speaking, cold drinks. Right now in Scotland, we are having some unusually warm weather. It was 21 degrees Celsius today in Edinburgh. You might be thinking, that's a bit chilly. But for us, it was a heat wave. There were people walking around town with basically no clothes on today. It has been like this for the last few days, and it's forecast to be like this for days to come. Very warm, right? But yet, no matter where you go here, whether it's a cafe, whether it is a restaurant, whether it is a pub, it is difficult, very difficult to get an ice cold drink. You know when you're just hot and it's summer and you just want a really, really cold drink, there is nothing more refreshing. Well, here in the UK, we just don't do it. It's quite rare. And in fact, if you ask for ice in your glass, you will most certainly get a weird look. I don't know why it's like that here. Since I've traveled, I've found it really quite annoying actually, because I like my drinks really cold. Whereas in America, you guys put lots of ice and have all your drinks cold, right? As well as the ice on the top, they will also be refrigerated. And then we come to beer, right? If you've got a pub in America, the beer will come out of a really cold fridge and will actually be frosty. Here in the UK, our beer flows from taps, which has been connected to the barrel, which is not even refrigerated. It might be kept down underground in the cellar or whatever, but it's basically room temperature. That's no good, is it? We like a cold drink, especially when it's nice and warm in summer. And a lot of Americans do find that weird when you guys come here. And I think when I've been to America, I have found that a revelation for me. It's been so great to have really nice cold drinks. It's something that I just don't understand it. Why do we do that here? I don't know. But I'm on your side. I am Team America. I kind of feel like this theme is kind of going both ways. So some of the things I agree with you guys, and some of the things I think are actually a bit weird, and maybe take the more British stance, right? The next one, I definitely take the British stance on this. This is something that shocked me no end, okay? When you're in a shop and you're going to buy something in America, it has a price, okay? You think, great, that's not bad, a good deal, actually pretty cheap. And then you take it to the counter, and then they slap another big wad of tax on top of it that you did not expect. I've got a specific example of this. I was in New York, right? And I went to buy a drone because in the UK, they're a little bit more expensive. And I thought, okay, in America, a little bit cheaper. I'll buy my drone in New York. The tax bill on top of it was from the New York state, I believe. But wow, it was a big chunk and I was not expecting it. I was thinking, that's not so cheap anymore. I could have just bought it in the UK, probably the same price. So that is something I do find weird, and British people generally complain about when they go to America, is the fact that you guys display your prices without the tax and then you get a big tax bill whacked on top of it. What is that? That's usually state tax, right? Your state taxes are different from your federal tax. We don't really have that issue in the UK. It's all very much the same. That's why it's easy for them to calculate it, but I don't know why the shops don't put their taxes in on America. And I think it's sometimes a little bit annoying because it makes you think the thing's cheaper, but you forget about the tax, right? 4, plugs. Very basic subject. You know the plugs that you put in sockets to power things, like I'm powering this big light that's lighting up my face right now. In the UK, they're very, how can I say this? Safe? Because you put your plug in and it still does nothing. You have to actually turn a switch on to make it work. And when I was in America, something I found a little bit odd was the fact that you just put your plug in and boom, whatever it is comes on. And this might sound like a small deal, but it's actually something that we as British people are kind of scared about, right? When you go to America and it's like, you just put the plug in and whatever it is you're using magically comes to life without you pressing a switch to say, okay, it's safe to turn it on. Because I don't know, I think it's in our education here. We're always taught electricity is super dangerous, do things slowly, plug it in, and once you're ready, turn it on. Is that even an issue? Should that be an issue? I don't even know. The next thing, I'm on your side again, 100%, right? In America, you guys have so many 24-hour stores and shops. And this is something I found in every single city I went to in America. There's always something open. And I love this, right? I don't know what it is, but I feel a comfort knowing that no matter what time of day or night it is, if I need something, there's going to be something open where I can get it. I was in New York, like I said, last summer, and I remember right on the same block where I was staying, there was a 24-hour supermarket. There was a 24-hour pizza place, $1 pizza I might add. There was a 24-hour McDonald's. And I think there was even a 24-hour bakery type of situation as well. Basically, whatever we needed, any time of day and night, we had it there 24 hours. Here in the UK, and a lot of Americans find this odd, we tend to shut up shop pretty early in the evenings. So kind of 8 to 10 p.m, a lot of things are already shut. And the pubs, as you know, don't last all night as well. They tend to shut between midnight and 1 in the morning because of licensing and all that kind of stuff. We're quite early here. Now, that's not to say it's always like that here. In London, you can find more things. And actually, some of the bigger supermarkets have tried this American style of being open 24 hours. Walmart has a subsidiary here in the UK. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a Walmart here and it's called Asda. That's a British Walmart owned by the same company, and their superstores, select stores are open 24 hours, and there's actually one not far away from here. And guys, listen, it's quite handy and useful. I like it. Like I said, I feel comfortable with the fact there's always something open 24 hours. I remember waking up at 2 in the morning once and I had a horrible migraine, didn't have any paracetamol. It's so handy to know that you can just get a shot whenever you need it. We just don't have that here. Pharmacies, for goodness sake, you have 24-hour pharmacies. We need this culture here in the UK. British people find it weird, but I think we also kind of like it. I certainly do. So number 6 is you guys are into all the sports. I think this is really cool. Definitely something I really enjoy about American culture. You tend to find people have a kind of broader interest in sports. Here in the UK, in Scotland, it's not really like that, okay? I'll explain about that in a second, but when you talk to an American person about sports, they're into football, they're into basketball, they're into tennis, they're into golf. They can tell you facts about all these sports. Volleyball, ice hockey, for goodness sake. Literally all the sports you can think of. Usually people in America, you have a broader base of knowledge and you can tell us things about all of these sports. And I think that's fascinating and really cool. You get some major sports fans in America. And here in the UK, it's not really like that. You tend to find here people are into singular sports, right? And they don't really care or know much about the others. So, for example, a big football fan here in Scotland or in the UK in general tends to know a lot about football. They can tell you all the facts about football, but then get a wee bit lost if you take them into rugby or golf or whatever. They won't know about these things. People here are very narrow in their sport interests. And I just find that fascinating and really cool that in America, you guys definitely seem to have a wider sports-based knowledge and interest. I actually got this t-shirt from somebody who watches the vlog, Brenda from Tennessee. Thank you very much for sending this. And I've been receiving loads of sports-related items and merch from you guys, so thank you so much for sending them. It's really interesting to see all your colours and all your teams from different states. I've got so many sports teams now, between American football, between hockey, to go and check out when I go to the States next. It's going to be a riot just on the sports alone, so thanks guys for sending that stuff. Number 7, and here's something that I wish was better here. Something about America that is kind of like a curiosity, okay? Lemonade. Humble lemonade. And this is something that I find interesting because going way back to when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of American programs, and I always remember it seemed to be, in the summertime especially, kids used to make lemonade and sell it on the streets to their neighbours. And when I saw the lemonade, it was always looked so good, right? Homemade lemonade, real lemons, and whatever other ingredients they use. Special ingredients, and it just looked lovely. And in the UK, we don't have that type of lemonade. We have lemonade, but our lemonade tends to be, how can I say this? Like a soft drink, sparkly, full of sugar, and the faintest hint of a taste of lemon, the faintest hint. But like, that's what we call lemonade, and it's really not lemonade. And guys, having been to America last year, couple of places, I tried the lemonade, and I am addicted to lemonade now. I make homemade lemonade all the time thanks to you guys. You guys have it going on with lemonade and I appreciate that. Number 8, we're on to the last one, okay? The American polite greeting of how are you, right? This is something I think is quite important to discuss because when we hear that as a British person, we're like, what? This person wants to know really deep, intimate details about my life. When somebody asks the simple question of how are you? British people are different that way, right? When you get to that level of how are you doing, it's like a really personal question and you really feel like you have to give a solid answer, right? If somebody says that to you here, you will spend the next 4 or 5 minutes going through literally all the things of your life that are of significance. Whereas in America, it's like, how are you? The next person responds, I'm good. How are you? Great. And then you go on your way. I don't know what it is, but here in the UK, we're just not wired up that way. And by the way, you might be in for a surprise. If we're not doing that well, we'll also tell you reasons why, all the intimate details of why we're not doing that well. So I find that an interesting cultural take. And I much prefer you guys just like, how are you? Fine, all good. How are you? On our way. No more details need to be spared. Quick, polite, efficient. That's what I like. Anyway guys, that was today's episode. I would love to know what you think about these kind of cultural quirky differences down in the comments below. Have you come across any of these differences when you met a British person? Are there any more you'd like to explore? Before I go today, I've just opened a letter which I received from Drew in Washington State. Drew sent me a patch here. These patches are worn on our uniforms in the military. Specifically, this is from an aviation unit. Drew from Washington State, thank you very much for this really cool patch. It's interesting because it's got Darth Vader on it. I also received this package, right? Please do not fold, it says on the top. I've already opened this and had a look. And this is from Joanne Woods, who sent me a big letter as well, which I've read. Thank you very much, Joanne, for this. And it's actually fan art. It's a great drawing, that's what I can say about it, but it's interesting that this looks like a very much better looking, more handsome version of myself. So I'm always going to be interested in something that makes me look better. Younger, dare I say? It's kind of weird, like when somebody draws you, I don't really know how to take it, but it is a massive compliment, so thank you so much. I really appreciate people putting in the time and effort into doing that. It's awesome that people have the talent and skills to do art like that. I certainly don't, but if anybody wants to attempt to more fan art, like I said, the postal address will be down below. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. It's been great to chat to you as always, and until the next adventure, I hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. Take care.